Hello, everyone. Welcome. Give me one moment and I'm going to go ahead and get our fantastic Tia Truss on here. I hope you guys are having a fantastic. Mine is just getting started. There she is. Hello.
Hello, beautiful people. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Tia. How you doing?
I am feeling empowered and
Ooh,
excited about today's conversation. I hope it is exactly what folks need to hear today
yeah,
as we go into this holiday season.
honestly. Yeah, tapping into, I was even thinking today, just what does it mean to just sit there and like listen to someone without preparing whatsoever for what's to come next in the conversation and to just sit there authentically in the moment and just have a conversation.
Right.
Um, it can be hard and uncomfortable, but that's why we're here to talk about it today.
Of course, because we're out here trying to challenge folks
Yeah.
so they have a better life where they feel seen, heard, valued,
Mhm.
loved, and supported. And
Right.
so, and it starts with this. This is part of that process,
Right.
getting to authentically be themselves and supporting folks, and also be an example of that what they desire. So, yay!
Yay! I'm so excited. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Yes, welcome. We're excited to see you all as we wrap up this year.
Wow. Crazy. I can't believe. And like 2 weeks, it's gonna be New Year's. A week, it'll
Right.
be Christmas. Holiday season is coming in fast, as it always tends to.
Yeah. All right. I
Alright.
guess we will get this party started.
Heck
So
yeah.
we want to say hello to everyone. Today we're going to talk about what it means to listen. Last time we talked about, in November, we talked about communication, appreciative communication, gave some tips surrounding that. And listening really is a huge part of that. So as always, we want to get started by asking you to drop in a emoji. I said emoji in the chat that represents how you're feeling as we begin this conversation about listening. Let's see what you got to say.
I threw a little confetti party person ready to get this party going for listening.
Yay.
Anyone else feeling excited? Wanted to drop an emoji in there?
Right.
Oh, we see hearts. Thanks, Jen. I don't know if we always feel that way, but we're feeling good about having those good communication. So heck yes.
Heck to the yes.
Fantastic.
And then we're going to go ahead and get started. You all can continue to drop those emojis. We will acknowledge them as we see them coming. Um,
Hey, do you
and
see that one in there, Tia? Sorry to cut
what's
you
that
off
one?
here, but we got some confetti, balloon, microphone.
Right. I guess
I
we're
love
ready.
it.
Everybody's
We're
ready.
ready
So
for
that's
this
the
today. Heck
beauty. And
yes.
when people are open and ready, the magic happens. That's really
Yeah.
when the magic happens. When you're ready for this conversation, it is going to be popping. So I'm excited for
Yes.
you all because you're also excited for it. But what we're going to start by asking you a few questions and seeing the position you've had before and how you've experienced listening. So the first question we got for you is, have you ever had a conversation with a colleague, a friend, and or family member that and left the conversation feeling the other person or persons did not listen to anything you were saying? You can put your hand up. Put your hand up if that resonates with you. And
Resonates
that's
with
one of the
me.
reasons why we feel like this conversation is so
Yeah.
important to have.
Right.
Because in our work, we know so many people feel unheard and haven't been listened to.
Right.
So our next question is, what impact did it have on your relationship with that person? And then, as we always want to challenge you to grow, and so you can always be better, and it's not always just about the other folks, but it's also about ourselves. How how are people experiencing you? Would others say that they felt that they haven't been listened to by you? Something to sit with. And the final question we have for you is, do you think there is a difference between hearing and listening? Because I'm gonna throw something in here real quick, because I know sometimes when people not really listening and rejecting what I'm saying, what I might be saying to them, they're like, I hear you. Yeah, I hear your audible noise moving forward, but I just hear you. I'm not really receiving what you're saying. So have you had that experience? Right? I see some hands up. I see some acknowledging of different folks and having those experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this is what we are going to be talking about. It's going to help model the behavior that you want to experience, how you want to listen, and how you want to demonstrate for others that you want to be listened to.
100%. And that's such a good point. I mean, I'm guilty of saying that. Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
Right.
Uh-oh. Well, let me provide you guys with some facts to really, give you guys a new sense of awareness when it comes to listening, and really what that difference is between listening and hearing. So hearing is the ability to perceive sound by detecting vibrations. That's it. Just detecting those vibrations. You know that something's happening in the background. That's about it. That's all that hearing is. So when you tell someone, I hear you, all I'm getting are those vibrations from you. Ooh, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel right. That is not what I want to hear from someone. So listening is really something where you have thoughtful attention. So you're receiving those vibrations, but you are attentively hearing those vibrations and accepting those vibrations, and hearing the message. So instead of saying, I hear you, I'm listening to you. I understand you. Those can be different ways that you can go about saying what Tia was talking about. Again, so guilty of that. But different ways to just shift that mindset, right?
Kayla, I need you to define listening again for the people in the back in case they didn't hear 100%. That.
Right. Yes. Listening is to hear something with thoughtful attention. Thoughtful attention. You are aware, you know what's happening, you're being intentional with how you're going about receiving this information that's coming to you. Now that sounds like something that would feel really good. I don't know about you, Tia, I don't know about our friends here today, but that sounds like something that would feel so good to know that someone is attentively listening to me with attention, just holding that space for me to be able to let it out. Wow, how powerful. So again, that main difference here is you can't close your ears, right? So that's why hearing is involuntary. There's always going to be noise. There's always going to be vibrations that we're picking up. But again, that difference is that listening is to really require that attention, to be present, to be there, to have those ears, maybe not just open, but focused towards something, right? So really wanting to make that clear for you guys if you haven't gotten it yet. So then some stats that we found out. Listening is actually super hard, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. So I found some research from the Harvard Business Review, and they did some tests on the average person's listening. And they found out that no matter how intentional that you're trying to be, after listening to someone's whatever they're saying, information, conversation, whatever, you pretty much instantly forget 50% of it. 50%. And so that's a good thing to know either way, whether you're the one talking, whether that's you listening, that we're not going to remember 50% of that conversation no matter how hard we try. And that's just the way that our brains work, right? So again, that can be frustrating, that can be challenging, but we're going to work on it. We got some tips for you guys in a second. Right. After about 2 months, the average listener only remembers 25% of the conversation. So that 50% gets cut down to 25%. So they're really only picking out the things that stood out to them and hanging on to those things. And typically within the first 8 hours, they forget about half to a third of what they heard. So not much sticks. So clearly our listening is not great. However, if we really apply some practice and some effort to being a good listener, we can definitely work on improving our relationship listening, with listening, to ultimately boost our relationships with our family, friends, our coworkers, everyone in our life. So that way we can genuinely listen to people, and that way people know that we care about them.
Right. So after hearing what Kayla said in those stats, I'm just going to encourage everybody that requires that you show up with grace, right? Knowing how much everyone has on, how much we all have going on, show up with grace. And then while you're present in the conversation, be present. Strive and continue to practice to be present. And so after that, we want you for sure to drop an ear emoji in the chat if you thought that humans were a lot better at listening. Right. Because I know these stats are very shocking, but it's just really an important reminder that we're not perfect and working on ourselves while we're really building up our listening muscles. Okay. Yeah. So we just continue to strive for better.
Heck yes, we are.
Yeah, put them ear emojis there.
Yeah, we see you. Thanks, Chelsea. Yeah, we need to, like Tia said, work on those muscles, build them up, make sure they're nice and strong.
Right. And I know y'all thought we were already getting started. That's just really our warm-up. Okay. Now we're going to introduce ourselves. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our IG Live. Where as we already said, we're going to be discussing listening. We picked this topic last month after discussing it with the listeners that were present. And Kayla and I felt it was the perfect topic for our last live. Because our last live was appreciative communication, and because we're going into a holiday season where we're spending a lot of time with family and friends, and so can really put this effort into practice. And so if you know anyone who could benefit from this conversation, I encourage you to tag them. And so we're going to give you a minute to tag them, invite them to join this live so they can benefit from it. Okay? Tag. Let's get tagging.
Let's get tagging, guys.
Chelsea said these stats blew her mind. Yeah.
Me too. I was real sad when I saw those. I was like, oof.
Right. And so while y'all tagging folks, we're going to go ahead and introduce ourselves. So to get started, I'm Tia Truss, owner of Phoenix Nest Coaching, and I'm a life coach. And so I have my amazing, powerful, intelligent, positive energy, supportive co-host here.
Hi, everyone. My name, sorry, I always struggle with taking compliments. Thank you, Tia. I'm over here blushing. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Kayla Winters. I am also a life coach. I am a yoga instructor and the proud owner of the Lunar Radiance Wellness Center. And we are so excited to be with you guys this morning, if you can't already tell, talking about today's topic. If this is your first time, we want to welcome you. And if this is you coming back to join us, thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. We love you. And we can't wait to jump into this. So after today's live, we really recommend checking out our other ones. We've had so many amazing discussions about healthy communication, boundaries, self-care, self-love journey, life coaching, the list goes on. And we always provide you guys with fantastic tips, checkpoint questions, action items, whatever it may be. Our IG Lives are full of them. And so make sure to go check those out, sit through them, really absorb it, maybe listen to it again, because like we're talking about today, it's hard to listen. It's hard to take these things in. So sometimes we got to do it twice. So giving yourself that time to absorb that information. We always put them up on our Instagram, so go check them out. And I also wanted to make some space today to celebrate Tia and I. This is our 6th month doing IG Lives together. 6 months? What? Can
Yeah.
you believe it? We're just so excited and I'm so proud of us. This has been such a journey and it really just like every time we just level up more and more and it just feels so good and so right. So I just wanted to share lots of gratitude for Tia and all of you guys joining us and making this possible. So thank you guys.
Yeah. So celebrate with us. We appreciate you continuing to support us, as Kayla said. And so with that, we are about to get started. And I encourage you to keep tagging folks to join this live with us, okay? Mm-hmm. So as we indicated and as we all found out from our statistics, listening is actually really, really hard. So despite it being complicated, if we do not learn to listen, if we don't put it into practice, then it can harm us and get in the way of our ability to really grow and connect. Right. So I guess, Kayla, it's time for us to just jump in and get into this conversation. And we are coming from the perspective that listening is an art.
Painting away here. Here we go. So most of us are not aware of the proper way to listen, right? So we're going to jump into some tips a little bit later for you guys, but I wanted to talk about a situation that might sound really familiar to a lot of us. I know it was familiar to me, so we're going to jump into some story time here. So let's say there's a couple in a restaurant and they appear to be having a really great conversation where communication is taking place. Looks like they are talking and the other one is patiently waiting for the other one to finish and they're going back and forth and they're making good eye contact. So overall, it looks like a good, place for communication to be happening between this couple, right? But if you really got close and listened to this conversation, you would discover that each person had their own agenda when it came to this conversation. So when one person was speaking, the other individual wouldn't necessarily be listening or hearing or understanding what the other person was saying. They were in their own mind, sitting there, getting ready with their rebuttal to come back to what the other person had to say. And again, I think we all can potentially relate to this sort of situation. And then when the couple got up to leave, their body language seemed to be frustrated, slightly angry, and though they thought that they were communicating, instead they were merely talking to a wall because neither of them were actually listening to what the other person said. I hope I didn't call you guys out too hard. I know I called myself out really hard just now, but right. Anywho, Tia, take it away.
No, I was just going to say, go ahead. Let's acknowledge ourselves. If that's us, that's us. And we done had those experiences and conversations and just all distraught, like, what in the world just happened? I thought I was communicating effectively. It doesn't seem like they were receiving the message. Like, who can relate? Yes, I see some acknowledgement in there.
Yeah.
Yes. And so the first thing I want to tell you is, again, listening is a skill which requires both attention, as Kayla said, thoughtful attention, and intention. So your focus, as well as an intentional choice that I'm going to pay attention to you in this conversation, not focusing on what I need to say in response, right? I'm just paying attention and I'm doing it with attention and intention.
Fantastic.
So when you are in a conversation, your job is to listen and really hear what the other person is telling you. Do not think about what you want to say next. Do not think about what you want to have for dinner next, or who you finna go hang out with, or what else you got on your laundry list of things to do. If you have a stray thought that comes into your mind, it's important to jot it down on a piece of paper, in your notes, in your phone, and then refocus to the conversation, because this is a skill. So we know all the things, we so used to multitasking, but we want to actually start being present in our conversations. And so when you perfect the art of listening, you'll find that you've created deep and meaningful relationships. because so few people actually feel heard and understood when they speak.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that's what we all are craving. We're craving deeper and more meaningful relationships where we feel valued, we feel seen, and we feel heard. That's why we think it's so important for us to have this conversation today. So most of the time, we're focused on what we're going to say next and do not hear what is being said. That's the same reason we don't feel heard, and that's why people don't feel heard by us. Right? And even if one of the components is successful in communication, but even if one of the components is successful, however, overall communication is broken. Mm-hmm. So the entire system of communication breaks down. And we already mentioned in previous lives that when communication breaks down, connection is lost. Yep. Period.
Yeah.
So if you want to rebuild your connection, people need to be being heard. They need to be feeling seen and valued. And then you need to be able to express your words in a way that feels appreciative and where you're not on the defensive. So that's why we already want to show up with grace, because we know communication is the issue. We know we don't listen well. We know other folks don't listen well. We all have our own coping strategies and stuff like that. So we want to operate with grace when we in the presence and being present with someone and just being present, knowing, hey, everybody's struggling. They're struggling to communicate. This is all skills that we need to develop.
Boom, mic drop over here. Coming in hot. It's so true. I mean, how can we expect these relationships to be strong and forged if we don't have that ability to see, care, and validate someone? Again, connection is broken, it's lost, and it freaking sucks. It sucks. No one feels good. So important. Thank you so much for touching on that, Tia. I so much medicine and magic in your words. So thank you. I'm going to jump us into another exercise, a little experiment here, and walk you guys through a story. And then Tia's going to follow up with some insight here. She always kills it. So just make sure that you guys listen carefully, even though I know we'll probably not remember 50% of it, right? So here we go. Again, listen carefully. So there are two buildings. One has 50 floors where 100 people work, and the other has 200 floors where 400 people work. But in the building with 50 floors, it is filled with good-hearted people. And in the building with 200 floors, the people are not so good there. So one day, both of these buildings catch fire, and we instantly call the ambulance. Now we have to make a quick decision on which to save. You can either save the good people in the building with 50 floors or the bad people in the building with 200 floors. And my question to you at the end of this exercise is, who did we call for help? Who did we call for help?
Let's see if you're gonna put it.
Yeah, feel free to drop it in the chat if you know who we called for help here. We'd love to see if anyone's feeling ballsy, and it's okay if you have the wrong answer. Remember, we forget 50%, so no shame, giving ourselves some grace here. I know I got it wrong the first time.
Right, sure did. And did I see anything? Okay.
No, I don't see anything.
Okay.
You want to jump into it, Tia?
I'll jump into it. So we already know that some of you may have made the assumption of what the question was going to be and made the decision, and we're thinking of saving the good people and letting the bad people die. However, if you just go back to the statement that Kayla was providing, you will notice that she mentioned an ambulance instead of a fire brigade. So how will an ambulance save the people? This is an example of the lack of listening skills that we have and how that can create a misunderstanding. Right? Because the intention is that we're going to listen so that people can feel understood, and that's what they're intending for, and so that we can feel understood. So with this example, we wanted to really make that point that most of the problems arise due to not listening carefully or not letting people finish or thinking about the response.
Boom.
Boom.
Call us out again, Tia. Again, I want to hold some space to give ourselves some grace that like maybe we
Right.
didn't realize that it was an ambulance, or maybe we were totally in our head thinking about it, getting ready for the answer.
Right.
I know I was so guilty of that when I read through this the first time. I literally laughed out loud. Like I was like, "Oh my gosh, I totally failed at that." And again, this is just a really nice exercise to just bring our awareness back to ourselves and be like, "Wow, yeah, like maybe my listening isn't great." And how does that carry over into my relationships when I'm not doing an exercise? Like I know I'm guilty of not having the greatest listening skills all the time, and this is just a point to check in with ourselves, right?
Right.
So giving ourselves some grace again, and then practicing doing these exercises where you can say, okay, how can I stop and really listen to the story intentionally and with that attention to really hear what they're fully saying before giving my answer, before creating all these situations in my head. I could go on forever of like all the things that happen when people are talking in our brains, but how can we come back to that present moment, right? So
Right.
now we're going to go ahead and jump into some practices for you guys to work on being better listeners. We have 7 for you guys here, so get those pens and papers out. We have lots of tips to get ready to write them down. So for our first one, it is to kind of go back to what I was just talking about, to listen with openness. Listen with openness. Release that judgment, release those biases, and listen to things that maybe you agree with and maybe things that do challenge you. I really want to encourage you to be candid, to be open, to be honest and vulnerable during your conversations and really allowing your ears to do so. Step into that present moment, be there, listen with openness. Tia, you want to take it away with number 2?
Hold on. You just hit it so big. You just hit them so hard. Like I got the call. Did
Okay,
y'all hear
okay.
with no judgment, openness and no
Yeah,
judgment? Because you know we already are judging and like, oh my gosh, did they say that to me? Like this person is sharing with you. We don't have to come from a space of judgment. Think about it
yeah.
with grace, with
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability, knowing how this person is showing up, how we would like to be received when we're sharing, being vulnerable,
Yeah.
and trying to create a space of understanding. And
Mm-hmm.
always keep the values in your mind. This person desires to be seen, heard, and valued,
Right.
just like me. So
Mm-hmm.
judgment is not going to help.
And I think that all the
Just be
time,
open. Right.
100%, and all the time, when we give ourselves permission to be open and to be vulnerable, we instantly open that up and give other people permission to do the exact same thing. So think about that
That's
through
it.
all of these situations. A lot of the times we get these, well, why aren't they doing it? Or why can't they be the bigger person? Or why can't they? Well, it takes someone to start to give permission to other people. So be
That's it.
that person and challenge yourself. Like, I'm going to do what I can to be open and release that judgment so that way I can unlock that for other people in my life. And then what's going to end up happening? They're all going to start doing that for you too. And I promise you, it's an amazing domino effect that will literally be life changing for you and everyone in your life. So be that starting key, be that starting domino, and just watch the effects. It's
Right.
amazing. So,
Right. Right.
but,
And then next we want you to listen with curiosity. So in last month's session we talked about being curious and being specific as you have in conversation. So listen with curiosity. um, Engage in your desire to learn more about this individual and what they're sharing with you in this moment, rather than, you know, sometimes we want to try to fix stuff. Ain't nobody asked you to fix nothing. If they ask you to fix something, then you provide some solutions. But you don't need to be just judging and then trying to fix. People just want to share. Sometimes people
mhm,
just want a space to share without
yeah.
judgment, with somebody to listen. You're right, that makes sense. Acknowledging the space that they're in. Isn't that what we desire, Kayla?
Yes, it is. That's all we
That's what we
want.
want. That's
Yeah.
what we want. And so listen with curiosity. And I want you all real quick in the chat to provide a question in the chat that you could ask someone that you are listening to when you are demonstrating that you are being curious and trying to learn more. Someone said, Chelsea said, I recently did that with someone and they appreciated it so much. It was a game changer. Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a game changer. I know for me, in my own journey, honestly, everything that we provide you all, we had to begin these things ourselves. And I know when I was able to and challenge myself to openly share and be honest with folks and encourage them, provided them an opportunity to listen. Because sometimes we think they're not ready. So we don't openly share, we're not being honest. But when you do that and then you receive that support, it is such a game changer. It's for you as well as the other person because they get to see and experience your vulnerability.
Right.
Now, everybody's not going to be great in the beginning. I know everybody's not gonna be great, but you make the decision that I'm gonna continue to strive. I'm gonna continue to challenge myself. I'm gonna continue to be open and vulnerable with those I feel I'm ready to share with. So you gotta all do it in your own timing. But as folks are also sharing with me, I'm going to be that space for them to be heard. I'm gonna give them the space. I will give them the space. She said, I asked if they wanted to vent or they wanted someone to tell them positives. And she said she was upset with people trying to solve her problems. And she just wanted someone to say, that sucks. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Yep. That validation. Yep.
Not fixing it. Not fixing it.
100%. Well, just to touch on our last IG Live, we went into 5 different types of questions. Off the top of my head, I'll try here. But it was something along the lines of what, how, who, when, where, that kind of concept. Starting out those questions with that to be able to tap into that curiosity and really understand what they're trying to get out of this conversation, just like Chelsea said. You know, what are you looking to get out of this conversation? Or how can I support you during this time? Or what made you feel that way? Just allowing it to dive deeper. And then again, it gives people permission, like, oh, this person's actually curious and cares about what I'm saying right now. They're asking me questions. I think I'm going to share a little bit more because it feels good and safe here, right? So that's what being curious can really trigger for people. I'm going to see, I'm seeing we're getting a couple more comments here. Sometimes people just want you to acknowledge what they're going through and not try to fix it. Exactly, Carly. That's exactly what people want, that validation, that understanding, willing to just sit with you through the discomfort and say, like, I got your hand and like, yeah, this sucks, just like Chelsea said. I see Monique over here saying that her man is always frustrated with her trying to fix him. Yes, I'm so guilty of this myself, of just like, okay, let me just help you fix up all this. That's not what people need all the time. Sometimes they just need someone to be like, damn, whoa.
Because what do we want? We want people to believe that we are capable. So I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to believe that I'm capable and uplift me in this moment of vulnerability.
Right.
100%. And remind me that I'm capable.
Ooh, I like that. Remind them how strong they are. I love that. Oof. Well, we'll get into more of that in a minute. So our next tip for you guys is listening without asking questions that interrupt the speaker. I'm just gonna say that one more time because that might have, like, you might have choked on that one a little bit. I know I did the first time. I was like, I gotta do what? So listen without asking questions that interrupt the speaker. Sit there. Allow them to have space to think, to let it out, to be. And if you have a question or there's something that's coming up for you, jot it down. Hold it on the sidelines for a little bit and just really allow them to take up that space that they need right now. Because that, again, I don't know if we've said it enough today, but that's what people want. They want to be able to have space where they're feeling safe, where they're feeling good. So this could look like verbally interrupting them, but it also can be mental as well, preparing for those rebuttals, getting ready, getting fired up, maybe getting frustrated because, yeah, conversations can get heated and wild. But how can we really truly have effective communication and feel good if we're just sitting there ready to beat up the other person the minute that they're done, right? No, allow the person to finish their point and maybe just take a breath. Just breathe. Allow yourself to breathe through conversation. It doesn't need to be this thing where we're holding our breath the whole time and we're like, you gotta get it out, you gotta get out. No, that does not feel good, again, for anyone. So I really want you guys to take a minute to comment, breathe in the comments below. So that way we have that nice reminder to breathe, to not ask questions all the time, to breathe through conversation, not get fired up, ready to go fist ablazing. We need to breathe, we need to slow down, and we need to get back in touch and grounded, especially during heated conversations. But during any conversation, it's good to just pull it back and be like, okay, now I can feel good. You know, it is a two-way street. You need to feel good. They need to feel good. Make this a nice, beautiful, breathing conversation.
And get comfortable with silence.
Oof.
People they want to feel space so much, right? Get comfortable with silence and give them the space. Like, I'm not urgently waiting to respond. I'm going to give you the space in case anything else comes up that you feel you need to share.
Right.
Just be silent. And people feel awkward and uncomfortable, and then they will feel the space and share more and stuff like that. But you got to give them the space.
Right. Exactly.
And breathe. Just inhale and exhale.
Exactly.
And this is what's going to get you to your deep and meaningful relationships.
100%.
Somebody said this info is right on time. Had a conversation with someone yesterday that was interrupted and she did not hear me out at all. Going for a second attempt today. I'm so happy for you, and I hope you really feel and demonstrate also what you want. Like, okay, I'm gonna give you the space as you're sharing, but I also want you to take a pause and hear me. And then we're gonna give you some language as we continue to go. We're gonna give you some language to help further this conversation to get to an understanding. All right. So the next thing is our number 4 is we are going to listen for patterns and for what is not being said. You hear me? Listen for patterns. So if something continues to come up, that's something you should really be hearing. Listen for patterns and what's not being said. Pay attention to body language. They're feeling uncomfortable. Ask them what's coming up for them. I want you to comment in the chat some examples of body language that communicate things to you. What are things that you can observe from someone that are demonstrating various things? Just think about, even for a person who talked about a conversation yesterday, what was some body language that they were demonstrating in that conversation that you were able to pay attention to?
Yeah.
That says something to you.
We definitely talked about this on our last one about appreciative communication, about how the most important things are the things that are not said.
Right. And
so
that's
we
where
have
a lot
to be,
of issues are. Right.
Yep. And that's why we have to be so intentional and have that attention there to say, they might be saying something else, but I'm seeing something completely different about how they're feeling about this. And again, that's how you can tap into having that stronger communication. Say, hey, I see that you're expressing yourself in this way. Check in, be curious, right? This is going back to all of our techniques here, how they really all just play into each other beautifully. So thanks, Tia.
So some of those examples is their eye contact. What are their eyes doing? What facial expression? Are their own arms closed. Yeah, no eye contact can show they are disconnected or distracted. What else am I seeing?
Seeing size,
Thighs,
totally.
yes. Folded
Mm-hmm.
arms, they're kind of closed off and resistant and not open yet. So when you see those arms go down, if they fold it up, then you see them go down. Okay, somebody is really getting into a vulnerable space with you. This is getting deep, okay? Real deep and open to meaningfulness, right?
Right. Or even just the body, like the direction of their body. If they're not facing you and they're like literally face the other way, being like, I'm running away from this conversation right now. Being able to tap into that even can be such a huge identifier that like they're really uncomfortable right now, or how can I make them more uncomfortable, or whatever it may be. Just again, getting curious with them and checking in with those things that aren't being said. 100%. Okay, our next one here is all about listening with intention. So going into a conversation, just like our friend today is going to go in for round 2, going with the intention of what am I trying to get out of this communication here? Maybe I'm trying to learn something about my friend, or maybe I'm trying to get a deeper understanding about a project, or maybe whatever it may be, we're always trying to get some sort of information from a conversation through communication. So what exactly are you trying to get out of this conversation? Maybe you're just trying to show love today through a conversation. Maybe you're trying to allow them to open up, whatever it may be, just really making sure that you're rooted in that. And then also it can be a nice way to check yourself. I'm going in here to go, be nasty. Okay, girl, let's pause. Maybe that's not the best way to go into this conversation right now. We need to go for a walk, or we need to get a little bit deeper into what this is worth for us. Checking in with yourself as to what that intention is for the communication and for the listening.
Right. And then our next one, I kind of alluded to it earlier, some portion of it, but we're going to hit it again because I want you to get this. Pay attention to your talk and listen ratio. Pay attention to your talk and listen ratio. Think about what feels like a good talk or listen ratio. What do you all think? Let us know in the chat. What do you think is a good talk listen ratio? 80-20, 50-50, 60-40. What you think?
Ooh, Chelsea said we have 2 ears and 1 mouth ratio.
Oh, and
True
then we're
that.
going to do something about that, right?
Yes, we are. Right. Yep. So true.
Work out together, it builds sound mind.
Should be 100%. I hear you. Oh, I see a 50-50.
100%. Listen to me. And I think there is no right answer. So I'm going to say, thinking about it, it depends on the moment. So you are present in the conversation with somebody. And if you are going into space that like, I want to share, my intent with this conversation is I want to be open and share, and I want to provide this person with the space to be open and share. So if then you come in the space, you're reading their energy, they're going deeper, hands are down, unfolded, they're sharing, and all of this is sharing conversation, then you may decide, all right, today maybe they get 80 and I'm going to take back 20 because this is someone that doesn't normally share this much and I really want to give them the space to share. But I also want to provide them share as well. So you may play with it. Someday somebody may need to be 100. I might need to just be a listening here. or it may be the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Just play with it based on you and the other person you're with in that conversation, and really being open to what that engagement needs to be and who needs the most support at the moment.
100%. Fantastic. And then to jump into our last tip number 7 for you guys is to repeat back what you heard. That can be the ultimate reassurance that you are truly understanding what someone else is saying. Tio, what did you say again? Did you mean this by what you meant? You know, being able to respond back and reciprocate that not only boosts your ability to listen, but also makes that person feel really heard and feels like you actually care. And then if there is miscommunication, problem fixed. They're going to tell me what I missed or what they actually meant or whatever it may be. Again, last time we talked about having 2 different maps that are valid and perfectly amazing, but that our maps don't match up. And so really making sure that we understand where someone's coming from can just, again, really create that strong connection with someone, and make them feel loved, valid, heard, seen, all those amazing things that we've been talking about. So go ahead and share in the comments below some examples of ways that you can check in with someone about repeating back what you heard. And maybe you didn't hear it correctly, or maybe you don't know. So what's a question that you could ask them? Or way you could start that sentence. I'll hold some space here for you guys.
Okay. Well, while y'all are writing that in the comments, I'm going to give you, we're going to take this a little bit deeper. So I want you to think about this. We got some. So you are saying, yep, I hear you, but I also want to make sure I understand you. There we go. Yes.
Beautiful.
Awesome. So I want you to come from this space, because this is what we're thinking. Deep listening is a radical act. Based on what we said today, we want you to understand this is a radical act. And it really starts with your ears, making sense of the words as well as of the speaker's tone. And it also involves our eyes, because our body language says a lot. Importantly, though, deep listening requires that we push the mute button on our internal commentary.
Push the what?
Last step, huh?
I said push the what?
Mute. Mute.
Mute button.
The mute button on our internal commentary. And the last step is probably one of the hardest, because rather than truly listen to what another says, we too often merely hear a word or idea that connects with something we want to say. There's an old proverb that says we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. It would probably be more accurate if we explain the reason for the 2 ears and 1 mouth is that it's twice as hard to listen as it is to talk. Throw a hand up if you can relate. All the hands is up.
Both hands are up. Whew. Can you say that one more time?
Right,
that last little bit.
I needed to say it again.
Yeah, you need to say it again, because again, we need to really absorb this and hold it.
Right. See this, I'm gonna take it back all the way to what the old proverb says. The old proverb states that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. However, it might be more accurate if we explain the reason for the 2 ears and 1 mouth is it's twice as hard to listen as it is to talk. Y'all know we can talk up a storm.
Oof.
Oh, we can talk, but it's so hard to listen. So that's why we got 2 ears, because it's so hard. So we need more.
100%. Thank you for that, Tia. That was beautiful. Again, I see lots of hands up here saying, hot damn, it's hard. Again, giving ourselves that grace to just know that it's hard, and we got our 2 ears and we're doing the best that we freaking can, right? And that's all that counts. So awesome. I think we're going to jump into some questions here. So if you guys have any questions about listening today, feel free to drop it in the comments or in the Q&A box. I know we had one here, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. This is from Chelsea, and she asked, how can we express to someone that we want them to listen to us? So how can we express to someone that we want them to listen to us? Tia, do you want to jump on that, or you want me to carry away?
Either way, my friend.
Okay, well, my initial reaction to questions like that is really looking at the relationship as a whole, and how has communication been in general. And if it's been really bad and toxic, where both sides have really struggled with listening, again, I think it comes back to what we were saying earlier as being that key to unlock for them as to what it really means to be able to listen to them and hear them out. And then as they see that muscle kind of building, being able to really have that conversation, hey, this is something that I'm really struggling with and I care about this relationship. This is what I need. This is how it makes me feel like you are listening and you are being attentive to me in these conversations. So that would be my initial approach for going about that kind of situation. Tia, do you want to tag on that?
And I pretty much what I was going to say. I would say, as we are learning to communicate, truly communicate, really sharing, it's important as we are thinking with intention to also communicate with intention. So if this relationship and you desire to be heard, saying, here, I am really striving to be open and vulnerable with you. So saying this to the person, that's because it's the things that we leave unsaid. Remember, it's the things we leave unsaid. So I'm striving for a deep and meaningful relationship, if that's what you're going for. If I'm striving for a healthy relationship, I'm striving for us to both feel valued, seen, and heard in this relationship. And it's my intention for us to improve that. I don't know how you've been experiencing us, but this is how I've been experiencing. I haven't truly been feeling heard in this relationship. And not to defend you, I know I'm not always the best as I'm learning more. Most people aren't great at it, but I want to acknowledge this and say, can we strive? I want you to be my accountability partner, and I'm making sure that I'm also ensuring giving you the space to be heard, but I desire to be heard. I feel like you may be just responding to me, but sometimes I just want you to hear me, listen to me, support me. Now imagine if we communicate in this way with those in our life, those that we love, those friends that we have, those colleagues in different ways. I want us to have a healthy working relationship. How can I support you? Here's how you can support me. These are some of the skills that we even talked about in other lives. And so definitely go back and check out those other lives, because we give a lot of practice examples, because we all are desiring. This is really a deep part of what we provide when we, as life coaches, the space to think about things differently, one step at a time, so that we're building on what we want. We want deep and meaningful relationships. Well, what does it take for me to get there? For one, we got to be honest. We got to be honest, and it's going to be hard because it's different than what we're used to doing. And to get to that deep and meaningful relationship, we got to provide a space for folks to be vulnerable, and we have to be vulnerable. But we can pace ourselves how we desire. You can ask folks to be your accountability partner and challenge each other. Because all of us are wanting to be supported as humans. Again, we can't say it enough. Everybody wants to be seen, heard, and valued. So I want you to give you that experience as I'm growing and developing. And you're going to want to give me that experience because you're going to see the change in me, and it's going to be consistent because this is what I'm striving for. Yes, oh yes, it is hard, but it's what do we really want? And what we really want, even if it's hard, we got to fight for it. Every day we got to make a conscious choice for what we want. I want deep and meaningful relationships. So sometimes I'm going to have to be vulnerable in these conversations. I might not be vulnerable every day. I'm going to have to pace it at my own pace. But I'm going to have to get up every morning and make a choice for what I want in my future.
100%. Well,
you all got this. You got this. You are capable.
Ooh, I love it. You are capable. You are capable. Remember that. Repeat it to yourself. Believe that. Own that. Especially as you go into these conversations, especially like Tia said, it's uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. It's like walking into the gym for the first time and you look at the weights and you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm supposed to do what? Don't expect yourself to go up and pick up that 100-pound weight because it's going to be real embarrassing.
Okay, talking about a push-up. Push-up.
Okay,
I ain't even going to the weight. Can I hold myself up for one push-up? Oh, right. I'm overwhelmed already.
Right. So we gotta start somewhere. We gotta look silly with it. We gotta be vulnerable. Right. We gotta make ourselves uncomfortable and make a space where it's safe for others to do that too. And again, it's just gonna be that ripple effect for your relationships. So it's 100%. I love it. Thanks so much, Chelsea, for that question. I'm gonna jump into our next question here. We have 2 more. So how can we express to people that we are listening if it's over the phone and not in person? It's a fantastic question. And Tia, do you want to jump on this or you want me to jump on it?
Either or, I can jump in. Even if you're on this phone, you can say, I mean, it's a variety of ways. You know, it's really honestly checking in with the individuals. Saying, I'm here and present. I'm here to support you. I hear you. That is difficult. I mean, there's also things that you can say to acknowledge their experience. Ooh, that sounds like that was a challenge today. How did you overcome that? How can I support you in overcoming that? Do you know you got this? Despite that challenge facing that challenge, do you know that you have this? You have all the tools capable to overcome it. Do not let this defeat you. Tomorrow is a new day. You get a new choice, a new day to do it differently. Any comment of support is also, and then also when somebody says something to you. So just like Kayla was saying, repeat back. So is that, I'm hearing you say this. Am I understanding you correctly?
100%. And just to jump in here, Tia, I think that having a conversation over the phone is like the ultimate test of your hearing. Right. And I cut the hearing. We're not hearing anymore. Right. We're listening here. Right. So sorry, checking myself here. So the ultimate test for listening is like really closing your eyes. You don't have anything else to go off of except for what you're able to take in from this person. Are you being curious? Are you being intentional with this conversation? Are you listening to those patterns? All of those things that we talked about today, I think are truly the ultimate test that you can take when you're having a conversation over the phone, or let's say with your eyes closed or whatever it may be. Maybe they have their camera off and you're on Zoom. I know we've all had conversations like that. This is the ultimate test, and it can be such a strong way to really build up those listening skills, because then you don't have anything else to go off of other than what you're listening to. And then the focus is just simply on what they're saying as well. So it can be, I think, one of the best ways to really practice building up that skill is having that voice communication. And also tone. Tone is so important in conversation. It can be it's similar to body language. It can be such a huge teller of how, like, if a conversation is going south or if it's going great or whatever it may be, can be such a tell of where someone's at. So being able to work on that skill as well can be just amazing. So that was a great question, Carly. Definitely had me for a loop for a minute, but good one.
Right. And Kayla, I wanted to add on, you know, I also a part of being honest and saying, you know, I was listening to these life coaches, right? and they were talking about listening. And I want to check in with you. Have you been feeling heard with me?
Yeah.
I want our relationship to have that space where we feel heard. And so
Mm-hmm.
I want to open the space and say, I want you to communicate with me if you're not feeling heard in any conversations with me. And I ask that we do the same, that I can share with you
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not feeling heard in the conversation with you. Because I want this to grow deeper. I want us to all feel seen, heard, and valued in our conversations. That's a great opener.
Yeah. That's almost
Acknowledge.
like the magic in what you just said. It's like almost like emotionally triggering because it's like, whoa, that's
Right.
something that I can do in a conversation for myself and this other person that I care about. Really? Like
And
you
it gives
don't
me
get set that
tingles.
example. So it's
Right.
it's so like there's so much love, I feel like, in that kind of opener and that kind of communication, and so much care that someone's willing to get uncomfortable and say these things to you from a sense of like, I want this to get deeper with you. I want to be able to have that relationship, that friendship, whatever it may be. Um, Hot damn. That was beautiful, Tia.
But I can only speak from a space or a position of things that have been powerful, impactful to me.
Mm-hmm.
And in
100%.
a world where we're having to put on presentations and thinking they want me to appear this way, and when you get to authentically be yourself in relationships and show up honest and truthful, that's so powerful. And
Mm-hmm.
I have some amazing relationships where, especially one of my best friends, I've known her for 25, 26 years. And the thing I can tell you about her, no matter where I've been in life, I can always be honest with her without judgment. She gonna support me or call me out, like, girl, you might need to reconsider that. That ain't helping you win, right? But we have that space. We said in our
Right.
relationship, we want honesty,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all we. And when you get to show up honest, and stuff like that, and want to provide that space, it's again this intent with everything, because that your intent is your goal. What is my goal for this
Right.
relationship, for this conversation, for my life, and how
Mm-hmm.
does everything I'm doing align with that?
Right.
And think about those tingles and the tingles I get and the excitement and the goosebumps we may have from this conversation and just thinking about that honesty. It's because we so desire it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We want to be authentically, unapologetically us and show up in the world as vulnerable and open as we can be and not having to put on for folks. That's what we desire.
Mm-hmm.
We just gonna inhale and exhale that. Just inhale and exhale that. Being authentically ourselves. I heard this morning, and it just sat with me. I thought it was so powerful. I was listening to Mel Robbins, um, and she had made this statement that everybody's purpose is pretty much the same. And while we all out here striving to figure out our purpose in life, everybody's purpose is the same. It's to be authentically ourselves, our true selves. Oh my God, that was so magical. I was like, yes, we all want to be ourselves. So I'm
Yeah.
encouraging you all. Me and Kayla are
Mm-hmm.
encouraging you to be authentically yourself and share it with other people. And that's going to have impact in the world. And one individual at a time.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, so many feels out today. Oh, can we just have like a big group hug, please? Oh my gosh. Wow, Tia. Thank you for that. Thank you. So much to have someone to like it's so impactful to have someone to just say, be authentically you.
Mhm.
Be authentically you.
And that's enough.
That's enough.
That's enough.
That's enough. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, from Royal Blue by Priscilla. Chelsea, yes. Love the hug.
Hug.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, Tia, we have one more question here.
Okay.
And then we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. But how can we express to someone that we want them? Oh, I'm sorry. Hang on. Reading the same question again. We're going back here. Okay, so follow up. Is it appropriate to let go of a relationship if you're not being listened to? How would you go about that? So is it appropriate to let go of a relationship if you're not being listened to? How would you go about that?
I think it's completely appropriate.
Yeah.
I said first, I would be honest and acknowledge that this is what I desire. Is that in alignment with what you desire? Also,
Mm-hmm.
people will show you who they are, and people are in our lives for various reasons. There are various seasons, all of this stuff, and their season may be over. Because as we grow and further develop, sometimes other folks are not ready for that part of our journey. They were back at this part, and they're not moving with us. So everybody ain't got to go with us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure.
100%.
And I would say doing it just the same as the other, letting them know, here is my intent for this relationship. This is what I desire. Is that in alignment with what you desire? I have not been feeling this way, and I desire for it to be this. So after that, you ain't got to say it no more.
Yep.
I ain't gonna keep giving you my space and my energy if you are pulling me down. I'm gonna be honest with you, but that's the part about me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna give you a chance to grow because I want the chance to grow. I want you to give me some feedback on how I'm showing up.
100%.
And then if they keep showing that we don't got to keep, we ain't got to keep hanging out and keeping them in our lives. No, no, no. And don't require explanation. Just say, this relationship is gone as far as it can if you want to give them that much.
Honestly, yeah, that was the only other point I was gonna add is you don't necessarily owe them anything.
No.
If that's what it is, if the line has been crossed, the line has been crossed. We close the book, we put it on the shelf. Maybe we'll read the book again, but right now we're putting it on the shelf. And leaving it at that. Yeah, 100%. Beautiful.
I hope this helps.
Yeah.
Because I had to leave some relationships behind. But it's again, the question is, what is your intention? How do you want to show up in the world? So some relationships, the reason why I would strive to be honest, despite how many times they've hurt me, I want to give them the chance to grow. I wanted to be that reflection. So I wanted to provide a space and be honest in how I was experiencing them. Then after that, how I engage with you, if it's somebody that I come into contact with frequently, like family, you know it's holiday time. We're gonna be around family more and more. So then if it's not a positive interaction and stuff like that, and you done communicated and been honest, this is how I'm experiencing you, they don't really care. They're not showing any types of change. They're not showing that they're trying to acknowledge the space and the experience you're having. Then we'll be like, hey, how you doing? I hope you good. That's all I got to do. Because I want to give that experience. It just really depends on your intent. What do you want? And how do you want to show up in the world? And are they deserving of a response from you? But it sounds like, from the question, that it's a desire to communicate that and make that relationship better if it can be salvaged.
100%. Fantastic.
All right. Is there any more questions, Kayla?
No, that's all the questions that we have here.
Well, as we start wrapping this up, we really want to say thank you for your questions. We want to say thank you for showing up for you. We want to say that we hope there's things that you can take from this conversation, that you incorporate them into your life. That's usually what we do at this time. We add these into action steps. So we want you to practice, as this is the holiday season. You're going to be engaging with a lot of people here and there, whether over the phone, in person, through work, all these things. Challenge yourself to show up and allow people the space to be heard so that they will see this skill that you're developing. Notice the change in you and desire to demonstrate and be a space for you to be heard as well. And then be honest with them. All right. So, as always, at this point, we want to ask you, what, if anything, new did you learn today? This is point for you to put it in your comment, in our comments in the chat. What, if anything, new did you learn today? Did you have any ahas, insights, or inspirations today from today's conversation?
So just to share what Chelsea just dropped in the chat here, she said that she started this live doing laundry, wanted to tune in, and ended up here the whole time, sitting with her full attention. But this was awesome. Thank you.
Hey!
We're so
Yes,
glad.
yes, yes,
Beautiful.
yes. And it's the beautiful part of, and Chelsea, you may not even thought this was self-care, but this is.
Yeah.
This is self-care, taking that time and attention to focus on this, because this is going to help you grow, help you show up in your relationships with more honesty, and pulling out of others the things that you desire from them, communicating that thing. And I hope this really comes through, this conversation really comes through and helps.
Well, oh, I see that there truly is a huge difference between, this is from Jen, between hearing and listening. I'm more aware and want to make sure I'm listening. Yes.
Yes.
Such a, I want to say easy, but we know listening's hard. So
Right.
Easy, hard switch to make. But starting with, intention and awareness is fantastic. We got to begin somewhere, and that is a perfect stepping stone. Chelsea said as well, I learned a lot about new phrases to communicate and get across that I'm listening and focusing on being intentional. Fantastic.
Yes.
Yes. We love it. Beautiful. Well, as these comments come in, I wanted to share with you all that Tia and I both offer complimentary life coaching sessions. And yes, I said complimentary. Make sure to drop complimentary in the chat here if that's something that you're interested in. If you resonated with one of us or both of us, feel free to book a session with us. You can do that through going to our websites. For Tia, it is phoenixnestcoach.com. And for myself, it's thelunarradiance.com, or you can check out our bios. That's another way to access that. But again, we offer complimentary sessions. We want to see you. We want to work with you on this. We are so passionate about these issues and just allowing you to step again into your authentic self, to encourage you to give yourself that permission to do so, and then ultimately having a beautiful effect on your life and being that key for other people. So check us out. Again, links in our bios for those sessions.
Yay. And as we finally wrap this up, we really appreciate you all for being here. We hope you have an amazing holiday season. Next time, we're going to get real vulnerable with you and talk more about our stories and how we got to coaching and our different focuses in our coaching. And so you definitely don't want to miss that. If you enjoyed today's discussion, we always want to challenge you to share that information with anyone that could benefit from our conversation today. You can share this IG Live. You can also share our websites. For mine, since Kayla does it on her IG Live, sometimes the larger ones won't post on mine. So you can always go to my website and share the videos. All right. And so also tell your friends that we do offer our first sessions for free, FREE, first session. And they are epic and mind-blowing. And so you can figure out exactly what you want to achieve. What's the things you should be focusing on now in your life? What's the most urgent things? And so we want to thank you all for attending, and we hope to see you every third Saturday at noon, right here.
Right here.
Down your calendar. Our next one will be January 20th at noon. We hope you have an amazing holiday season. And keep listening.
Yes.
Keep listening.
Yes. Again, asking yourself, are you listening? Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Next time.